So today is Wednesday, April 6th. This is a special meeting of the Advisory Committee on Sustainability. We have a quorum. We're calling the meeting to order at 12:54. This meeting is being held virtually via the town's GoToMeeting platform, as indicated on the agenda posted with the town clerk and on the town's website. And the first item to approve is the minutes from our last meeting, which was March 9th, which Christine distributed and which I attached to the agenda. So does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
Looked good to me.
Is that a motion, Cliff, to approve the minutes?
I'll make it a motion to approve the minutes.
And is there a second? Pam? Okay, all in favor? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Christine. Okay, so the second item on the agenda is the 2022 meeting schedule, which we approved in December of last year and filed with the town clerk. But I have was asked to put this on the agenda. Pam, would you like to?
Here, sorry, I'm just opening up the. Yeah, so just sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, when my work thing popped up for a second, I just wanted to get rid of it, so I'm not looking at people texting me. Yeah, so I wanted to throw this out there. I think I brought it up probably right before my accident, but I have a standing meeting on Wednesdays for work from 12 to 12:45, which actually usually runs, it should be 12 to 12 to 1. And I'm just wondering if there is any way to have like a permanent change, or if there's another day of the week that we can do this. I mean, honestly, it's just Wednesdays are brutal for me. If there was like a Tuesday or Thursday, or if we could just permanently move this to 1 o'clock or something.
I did check with a couple of people. So there are really only 3 other days that we could do it because town hall is closed on Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. So I think the reason we've always stuck with Wednesday is because there isn't another day that's good for everyone else. So I guess I would start by throwing out whether or not everyone would be amenable to changing it to 1 o'clock. You said 1 o'clock would work for you, Pam?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have a standing meeting 12 to 12:45 every Wednesday that occasionally runs long.
I could do 1 p.m. Wednesday, or I could do Thursday.
And I can do Thursday. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I'm good for 1 p.m. Wednesday. And I think I could do the Thursday.
Okay, Ed's not here today, but I had asked him. He said that he would think about Thursday, but then he didn't get back to me about that. So I would be reluctant to vote to change it to Thursday without checking with him. So if everyone is able to do it on Wednesday at 1 o'clock, any further discussion?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is leave it. I'm going to be late. That's all.
I also, the difference from 12:30 to 1 I could accommodate on Wednesday.
Okay. So I'm not.
We change it to 1.
Okay. And was that
a motion?
Okay? And everyone in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Terrific. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I don't really have a choice on this one. It's a global staff meeting.
Understand. We want everyone to be able to participate.
We're trying to accommodate China and Europe and
Right.
Everybody, and I just this is where they landed. So
Understood. So communications with other organizations and individuals. I put Darien Men's Association here, Cliff, because I know that we had talked about this last time. You had sent an email asking if there would be any possibility that we might be able to sort of put together a cadre of volunteers from the Darien's Men Association to work at the recycling center. And I don't know if you've had any feedback.
The only feedback I've had is that they're going to think about it. And I should follow back to him and see what's going on. It's the
Okay,
kind of thing that, it gets out of your mind and you don't come back to it.
I know. I definitely know. Okay, so we'll circle back to that next time. And I put scouts on here because Craig, you had mentioned, we had talked about the possibility of handling some of the larger items from the swap shop via the scouts online auction that they seem to have possibly adopted as a permanent way to raise funds, and just wondering if you've had the opportunity to talk to them about that.
No update. I did not, but I will.
Okay. Alrighty. So I put Darien League of Women Voters on there because I was asked to come to their meeting this morning and just kind of talk about some of our committee's initiatives. I did that. I just wanted to let you all know that I did. And there was a lot of interest in what we're doing. I talked about the food scrap program a lot, and also some of the people, some of the league members mentioned that they may have some suggestions for how we can get some student volunteers. So I'm going to be following up with them on that. And then Darien Nature, did someone say something? No. Darien Nature Center is having its Spring into Nature event on April 23rd, the day after Earth Day. We will have a table set up where we will be publicizing the town's food scrap recycling program as well as backyard composting. So I just wanted to mention our involvement with that. And then lastly, the item that I added, a local high school student contacted the First Selectman's office suggesting that for Earth Day that the town sponsor a town-wide cleanup or pickup, and it was forwarded to me yesterday. With the suggestion that, possibly this would be something that we could organize. We have both the Darien Nature Center event that day and also the food scrap giveaway is going to be on April 23rd. So it's not really possible for us to do it, but I thought that what we could do is we could sort of put together a list of any other organizations in town that might be having cleanups as part of Earth Day. And I know of a couple, and we could just publicize those. So for anyone who's listening, Friends of Woodland Park is having their annual Earth Day cleanup on April 23rd from 10 to noon. And also Selleck's Woods is not really having a cleanup per se, but on April 24th from 11 to 1, they're having a spring trail fix where volunteers are needed to help rake wood chips and help maintain the trails. So I thought I would just put that out there as well. And then I just thought also, like, sort of as there's nothing against us encouraging people as part of Earth Day as one of any number of sustainable activities that people could do to pick up litter wherever they are, whether it's in their neighborhood or if they're out walking, if they're at a sports event or the beach. Maybe Pam, via social media, we could kind of put something together and publicize that.
Sure.
It's not necessarily a town a formal event, but it kind of accomplishes the same thing. So I thought we could talk about that. So moving on to recycling. I'm sorry, are there any other communications with organizations that anyone wants to report on?
I talked to the Nature Center. I was looking through some of the lists, and there was something about, is there anyone who's keeping track of sort of the local animal species in town? So I did reach out to Tori Falconer and to see if they were keeping any sort of lists. They don't have anything available there. She had suggested maybe talking to town hall about our list of ticks, but we, you know, we used to keep track of that and do tick testing in town, but that's actually outsourced now. So kind of hit a dead end, but she said that she would continue to see if there's anyone sort of keeping track of sort of the birds in the area or anything like that that we could add on. It sort of looked like anything that she had accessible was more statewide rather than anything that we were doing, you know, in our town.
Okay, that one of the action items on the application,
Yeah.
Pam? Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you. So, so we probably won't get credit for that particular item, it sounds like, unless, like, as you said, someone else in town is spearheading that. So recycling, under food scraps, as I always do, I just wanted to report what we diverted in March, where our numbers are back up. So it was about 3.5 tons for the month of March. So that's consistent with what we have been diverting. And so we had this Sustainable Materials Management Grant application that was due on March 31st. And just to remind you, Ed and I had met with some we had submitted an expression of interest in October of last year. We were invited to apply for phase 2 of the application, and we did. However, in meeting with their grant team, Ed and I met with them about 2 or 3 weeks prior to the application deadline. Basically, what they said was that what we had wanted to do was get some money so that we could do a couple of things. One, improve the infrastructure at the recycling center, and 2, have some money that would allow us to pilot a pickup program, a residential pickup program with 1 or more haulers. They, in meeting with their team, they basically said that unless we had a unit-based pricing element to our application, they did not foresee that our piloting program would really yield any great savings. So basically what they said is, we like your program. We think you're doing a great job. Keep it up. If you've been invited to apply for the grant, and if you would like to change the grant application, modify it a little bit to bolster your existing program, you're welcome to do that. But you know, if there's any money left over at the end of the application process, you know, we're happy to give it to you. But they're really looking for applications that will yield substantial substantive waste reduction, and they did not foresee that with our proposal. So we did modify the application, and we did submit it. So we'll see. They do have over $4 million to give out. There are 30 some odd municipalities that were invited to apply for the grant. So it's just a question of, you know, how much money they award, and we may be told, you know, that there's none left over, but then some of the municipalities that are awarded the money may decide not to do what they put in their application. So then funds may be available after that. So that's kind of a long-winded overview of what we've done. So right now we're just in kind of a wait and see mode. The compost giveaway we have scheduled. Are there any questions about that or comments, or did anyone want to say anything? Okay. So the compost giveaway, we will be purchasing 20 cubic yards of compost from New Milford Farms, and we will be giving that away on April 23rd and April 30th. And we definitely need volunteers for April 23rd because I will be able to be there first thing in the morning, but as of 9:45, I have to head over to the Nature Center to help with the project that I described earlier. So I'm looking for volunteers for April 23rd.
I'll be there, Carol.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we already volunteered, Carolyn. You just need to let us know what time.
Well, you need to tell me what time you're available. So 9:45 until 2:45 is what we need to fill. And there will be some volunteers from the Beautification Commission as well, because they're actually they're chipping in to pay for the compost, and they will have some volunteers who can help that day as well.
Okay, should we just send out an email spreadsheet to see who
Yeah.
wants to fill in, or do an sign up genius, or what?
Yeah, would you mind doing that? Doing a sign up genius?
I'd be happy to. I'll forward it to you, and you can forward it to whoever on the beautification needs to fill it in.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
What time did you say? Just to confirm.
Well, so the center is open from 7 a.m. and it closes at 2:45. So that whole day needs to be filled, and it's nice to have 2 people there at a time.
Yes, I remember.
And-
Okay.
Okay, and then same thing with the following Saturday, April 30th.
Okay.
Although I'll be able to be there more that day.
And
Caroline, you need me at the Nature Center, right? We're doing that again?
Yeah,
Okay,
you said
good.
okay, we can talk
Yeah.
offline about that.
Okay, I just confirming. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's what I have written down for myself.
Okay.
So that's what I was going to ask was, is your sign up genius for both places or just
No,
at
just for
transfer
the
station?
compost giveaway.
And so are you covered at the Nature Center?
Yes.
I think we're good. We'll do what we did last year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well
there's
said.
2 sessions at the Nature Center. There's a 10 to 1, 10 to 12, and 1 to 3, I believe. So that's why it kind of takes most of the day. But I will be at the recycling center early in the morning just to get it started. Then under recycling,
7 a.m.
pardon?
You want people there at 7 a.m. Just confirming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Because people will be showing up to be there. I put on the agenda paper shredding event because this is something that we had talked about in the past. It kind of fell off our radar with everything else that we've been doing, but an inquiry was made about it recently. So I thought Ed's not here right now. Obviously, this is something that he would have to fund. So I just wanted to throw it out there to see if there were any suggestions on when we might do this. If Ed is agreeable to it.
Do I recall correctly that Town Hall was thinking that they wanted to do this for their own benefit and that we could glom onto what they did?
Yes, you are recalling exactly correctly, Cliff. And I did circle back and check with the town administrator about this, but she said that there really wasn't a lot of interest. There wasn't any interest, basically. So there was they were not going to be doing it. So it would have to be our initiative.
I will tell you that I see occasionally on one of the local Darien Facebook groups, please for help, where are there shredding programs? Does Darien have one? Do any banks do it? Whatever. So clearly there are people in town who remember it or are new to town and don't know where to go. So I think it's probably a good time to schedule one. And if you schedule it with enough lead time, and ways to get that out there, not only our own social media and the town web, but maybe even in the local papers or whatever, so that people have time to gather what they want to bring. I think it's a great idea. I mean,
I would suggest to time it with the end of school. I mean, the last day of school is June 17th. I think all of us parents kids are coming home with stacks of paper and all of that. Something around the end of school. I think last day is June 17th.
Okay. So,
certainly
and
before people are gone on vacation, you know,
Yeah,
are
I
gone.
mean,
for the
like
summer.
that weekend would be like perfect, you know,
right.
because
I mean, I
like
was
the-
thinking
you're
if
all
we
getting-
if we can't do
yeah.
it by the end of the spring, we should probably wait and do it in the fall because the summer is not going to be the best time to do it. Okay, so we'll have to discuss that with Ed. The next item, anything else? Okay, the next item is the swap shop. Dan, is there anything to report on the swap shop?
Yes, I talked to the volunteers about the white sign, and they really don't want the responsibility to, put items up and call people and so on. But they think it's a good idea. So maybe we have a white sign that people can put up their items, their name, their item, their number, and then someone could, take a look to see if they have it and make the phone call. Versus, our go-between, which can get, quite a bit of work. So, we like the idea of a white sign, but we can put it up and have the public put their items up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, the responsibility, I mean, I guess we would just have to make clear to anyone who puts their name and number up that there's no guarantees that they would get what they're looking for, but that
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
If someone comes in, takes a look, knows they have something, then they can make a phone call on that end.
Do we think
But
that
that's-
that's something we'd want to have people's phone numbers there, on a
It's up to
whiteboard
them. If they're
listed?
going to put their phone number up, they're aware that it's in a public place. But I think, let's not let all of the what ifs and formalities get in the way of what could work well for a few people, right? Like let's work it informally. If it works, then it works. If it doesn't, we can stop.
Yeah, I think people, if they want to put their number in, they're responsible for it. I put my number there. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
okay, so
Or email.
so
The
yeah,
other
so
item, I'm sorry.
that would
The
be
other item I think we talked about is Saturdays. And Ed and I had a meeting on opening Saturday. The issue is that the commuters are complaining that they just don't have any day to bring in their items. So we talked about it, but the real concern that the volunteers have is traffic control. If you recall, on a Saturday, it's just crazy. There's an accident waiting to happen. And if you can visualize a four-way traffic, which it is, and you have someone in the middle, and I've done it, where you're trying to bring people in, out, back, up, it just gets crazy. And the other problem we have is there's a liability there that, if we're not doing it correctly and there's some type of problem, we could be liable and get sued. So what we're thinking about is maybe having a day, and we're gonna talk about this again, just one day a month, and have a traffic cop there that really understands how to control traffic. So we're still talking about that, and hopefully we can put something together. But the volunteers do not want to have the liability of traffic control. We're just not equipped to control that traffic.
Wasn't one of the other things that Ed mentioned as a possibility having sort of like a soft opening in this month, I think he said, and maybe doing it during hours when it's not as busy, and just trying it. I mean, we always say on anything that we publish that the swap shop hours are subject to change. So if we tried it, like in some of the less busy hours, like 10 to 12 or 10 to 1 or whatever, maybe not those first early hours in the morning, and certainly not the last hour and a half or so that it's open, then the traffic is a little bit lighter, and hopefully we wouldn't run into some of those problems that you mentioned.
Yeah, we talked about that, and then I said to Ed, why don't you have one of your employees there? They have liability, they have town liability. We'll have a soft opening and have someone there for 2 or 3 hours and test it out.
So this
But
is
we just don't want, we've been there before, and there's really not a lot of light time there with a four-way traffic. There's just a problem. And, the volunteers just don't want to be out there. I'll tell you, I've been out there and I've had people, commenting and screaming at me, and it's very difficult at that point in time. So I said, Ed, why don't we have someone there, or maybe one of you can be there to help out and try to control traffic. And then you could see what I mean. I mean, you just can't visualize it till you've been there,
Dan, I support you 100%. I mean, because whether it's a Saturday or even on a busy morning, sometimes it is difficult. And once again, tying back in, it's so much better when your volunteers have the vests on. I was there this week, and noticeably several people that had the vests, and they approached me, but I knew who they were.
Right.
The problem with the traffic control beyond the getting in and out where people are entering the dump or trying to park where the mulch is and all that stuff, or the compost is a problem, and that you almost need a uniformed person on a weekend to do that, because it's really unclear who is the authority figure. And
we can control it during the day, during the weekday, because it's quite well. But on a Saturday, you have hundreds of people coming in on a Saturday. I mean, it's constant.
And all I'm saying is that who's in charge is much clearer when your folks have the vests on, that they're there as part of the group.
Yeah, I've
and
told
when people are telling you don't pull in or wait, and they're not labeled, then people start pushing at each other. So I strongly support the idea of having a uniformed person, and maybe it's for 2 hours, and whether it's once a month or every Saturday from only 10 to 12, or I mean, I don't know what the cost is to versus benefit, but it would seem that having an authority figure on a Saturday would be a good thing for everybody.
Christine, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry, go ahead. The other thing is, getting back to what you're saying, Kathleen, in the summertime, those vests get very hot. So we're thinking about hats. If we can get some hats so people can wear the hats versus the vests.
Yeah, just some designation.
Some type of designation in the summertime.
Christine, did you want to add something?
I was just going to play the opposite side, is that the swap shop was always open on Saturdays, and it was always insane. And then we redid the parking lot, and it's better. I don't think it's that, I mean, I know it does get crazy, but it's not that much crazier than like the area where the single stream is, because that's like taking your life into your hands trying to back up in that area on a Saturday. So I feel like we should sort of really push to have it open for at least a few hours, because especially now with spring cleaning, I know a lot of people are getting rid of things. They're moving in and out of town. It's a benefit to our town that we need to have.
Yeah, and I think the policeman could really control the traffic on a Saturday, and we can put it together for if we really want it as a town, I think we can support a policeman there to control the traffic.
Okay, so Dan, you and Ed and I should maybe have like a meeting about this, and so that we can get this moving forward, because otherwise we just keep saying the same thing every month.
Well, it sounds to me like Dan's recommendation is that we have traffic control and that the town pay for an officer to be there. So
yes, we'll do it. We'll volunteer, but we don't want to be responsible for traffic.
If there is consensus, I would be happy to make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen that should they want to reopen the swap shop on Saturdays, that our recommendation as the Sustainability Committee is to do so with a uniformed officer traffic control, at least to start, to see how it goes.
I think it's an excellent recommendation. I seconded
it.
Okay, so is everyone done recommending? Okay, so should we vote on this? All in favor of the recommendation, the motion that Craig made, and that's who seconded?
Kathy seconded.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, great. Next item, marketing, outreach, and education. You're probably all aware that there's now a new bi-weekly town newsletter that goes out from the First Selectman's office that basically just is a composite of various news items. We will be using that to promote the food scrap program and also the compost giveaway. So anyone can get on the email list for this bi-weekly town newsletter by emailing newsletter, all one word, at darien.ct.gov, and that will place your name on the list to receive the newsletter, and you can also submit suggestions for the newsletter via newsletter@darien.ct.gov. Okay. Darien neighbors. So Kathy, I really held off on sending out this agenda because I was hoping that I would get my April issue of Darien Neighbors magazine with your article, and I have not received mine. I don't know if you have received yours, but I was going to scan it and forward it to everyone. Kathy wrote a very nice article, Kathy and her daughter wrote a very nice article about sustainable event planning, which I think, you know, the time it's very timely with sporting events starting up and picnicking and so forth. So as soon as that comes in the mail, I will scan it and forward it to everyone. I also don't know what's going on with Darien Neighbors per se. I think there may be a change in editorship there, so I'm not. I'll have to report back on that next time.
Yes, Carolyn, when I communicated with her when she sent me the draft or the final mock-up of the article, that was her last.
Okay.
So
I have not been asked to provide any further articles. That's my point. You know,
let me follow up because she kind of, and I assumed you had the same information, so I didn't even communicate with you. But I will follow up with you on who the next person was or how to reach out to her if we had any questions in her transition. So let me just get back to you and see if there's any.
Yeah, you can just give me a call.
Yeah.
And then the social media platforms, Pam there have been some issues with getting on Facebook. We're trying to work through that. But have you had any issues, Pam, with Twitter or Instagram?
So Instagram, you know, when I took it over, had 4 followers, and I just looked right now, we're up to 82 just in the last 2 weeks. So it's moving along, and we'll continue to grow the more.
Because there weren't any posts on it. That's why we had no followers. There were, I think there was one initial post.
There was a post, and I think there was 2 or 3 followers, and now, as I said, I just looked right now, we're up to 82. So that's,
Pam, what's the name?
I've only been on it.
What's the name of that?
Darien Recycling Center.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been popping in there and just in the last week or two and trying to, you know.
You now have 1 more follower.
Thank you. I'll get notified in just a moment. Yeah, so just working on that. I am newer to Twitter, so doing a lot of retweeting.
2 more followers.
Pardon me? 2 more?
2 more followers.
Yay, we'll be up to 84. Yeah, better than 2 or 4, right? So 80 in 2 weeks, that's good. I figure we can keep growing. I think Facebook has 500, so hopefully in the next month or so, we'll get all of those over. We're having some issues linking the 2 accounts. We should be able to simultaneously post on both at the same time, and for some reason it is not letting me. I have restrictions on Facebook that I don't have access. Caroline's been trying to problem solve. If anyone has any suggestions, we're open. But at this point, I don't have access. Caroline is unable to get me to be in it, like the administrator of the Facebook page, or to link the 2.
So Christine and Kathy, Christine, you are an editor right now on Facebook, and Kathy, you got your notification from Facebook as well when I invited you.
And then you canceled me, so it was a test that I'm not.
Yeah, I was just testing, but yes. Christine accepted before I had a chance to cancel it. So you're
cancel it is fine. I won't be upset.
So we're working on that. Anything else on that before we move on?
No, I just, I think at this stage, I was, just going to ask for if anyone ever has any. What I found is that what I've been trying to do, not only just post, but really hunt down other pages that I can repost from, right? That has interesting information. If I follow them, they'll follow me, type of stuff. So certainly if anyone is following a great resource, let me know so that our page can follow them, and hopefully vice versa, and we can keep just getting that information out there. Same certainly with Twitter. Again, I'm not really sort of a user of Twitter, so I am learning that application in a different way, and retweeting in a different way, and playing around. Again, if you're following anybody that should be following us, let me know. Happy to share that, and get that moving along. I also, I think as we get up closer to Earth Day, I think I wasn't sure, I think I go back and forth in my head, so I wanted to decide with you guys. I of course want to promote everything in town first, but I also think it's okay to promote Fairfield County wide, statewide, but I just sort of wanted to throw it by you as if I'm seeing stuff that can be promoted in bordering municipalities, like, does that make sense to promote their events as well?
Yeah, we have done that in the past.
I just don't know.
Not just with events, but also with things that other municipalities are doing. Like if they post something related to, that they set up a new drop off for their food scrap program.
Okay. Great.
That kind of, no, it's good because I just
wasn't sure if this was, because we're this advisory board for sustainability in town, if it's meant to say very town centered information. That's all.
No, not necessarily.
I think the information that, not to get in the weeds here, I don't want to move on, but there are other sites like Planet New Canaan and Sustainable Fairfield County, and there's a lot of very local information on those.
Yeah, ping me, like if anyone, my email's on that. If anyone, that's what I'm saying. Like if anyone is following a great feed, share it with me, because Instagram, we're not doing anything. Like I'm just building that network. So
okay.
Instagram never got off the ground because I'm not a real user of Instagram myself. So someone else had set it up on my phone and it just never really seemed to work right. So it's good that it's functioning now.
Great.
So when I post on Instagram, I have an option to have it also post on Facebook.
I'm trying. It won't let me. I've got restrictions on the Facebook, and that's really what I want to do. That's where my frustration lies, is that I don't have the access to let it. I've tried in multiple ways to make that happen, because yes, I can do that myself for my own personal account. I also manage a work account as well that I do that for. So and I've managed that for the Darien Dems before. So anyways, we're working on it. Technical difficulties.
So okay, so moving on to Energy Task Force. Ed's not here, but so we don't, and Kathy, I think that you had mentioned that you were interested in setting up a meeting with Daphne Dixon's group and some of us. Anything to report on that?
I was waiting for today to gain concurrence that we would ask Daphne to have an internal meeting with me and possibly you or someone that is into. Cliff, I know, has had an interest, just to gather from her sort of information that we can start to be gathering and presenting to our town, and taking a look at what her organization Live Green can do. I can tell you that I just read another article in one of our Connecticut publications that EV purchases in the state of Connecticut rose radically, and it's going to start to impact, not only the charging stations on the highway, but this is going to grow in terms of our own residents having electronic vehicles. But and she can work, she sort of knows that end, but she's very familiar with the actual specs of vehicles, be they buses or municipal fleet vehicles, and how we would approach it. There is also grant money that Continue to Hear is out there that I know very little about yet, with some of the Build Back Better, whatever the infrastructure monies that are out there. So I see that meeting with her to start to gather a to-do list of the things that we as a community would use her as an example, use her to help us build that list to communicate within our own community. Sustainable CT is offering a webinar, but I don't think we're ready for this, where they have hired someone to teach communities how to have an EV web page on their website. So they're
Right.
having a webinar on how to build EV information into your town's website.
So
And
you're
I
right.
don't know anybody, I could watch it, but I'm not sure that our town would even be ready to have electric vehicle information on its website. So I'm not sure if that's even a possibility, but that is something Sustainable CT is offering, I think, this week.
So
Okay.
one of the things that I find is that, you know, you and I and other members of this committee can inform ourselves all we want. If the
Mhm.
town's not ready to do anything, the town's not ready to do anything. My impression from Ed a few meetings ago was that he was putting into his budget some money relating to EVs. I don't know whether it was charging stations or 1 or 2 cars. I would suggest we table this conversation until he can join us.
Okay. Okay, so when Ed returns, we can ask him if he would like to be part of that conversation, either prior to talking to Live Green or then or after. So we'll Kathy talk offline about organizing that.
I mean, I agree with you, Cliff. It's not clear to me where Darienne's, you know, strategic plan is on EVs, but as an advisory committee, I would like us to be able to provide some insight as to what's happening, either what the trends are in the state, where the funding might come from going forward, and what other people know about the kinds of vehicles that our town might be looking at if they're going to start to do this. I know Ed was at the point of, I don't even know if I want EVs or hybrids, whatever. And if we can begin to gather that kind of knowledge, I think it's a good thing. If I'm wrong, I will back off on this conversation.
It's the direction that we have to move in.
And as a result, I would like to speak to Daphne sooner rather than later.
So I don't disagree.
Not with Ed.
I don't disagree with you, Kathy, at all. There was a lot of good information provided by, I think it was well, first of all, the police in Westport, and who'd done a lot of work, the specific work in terms of the cost and cost savings and all of that. And then this fellow who runs, I want to say it's the Connecticut EV Association or some such thing. And Ed, you know, he just so busy with so many things. We had all the flooding and everything else going on in town. He wasn't able to embrace it, but it sounds to me like since then he has made some progress with it. And I think it would be great if what we do could actually lead to action, which presupposes that he or somebody else from the town administration will get involved.
Okay. Anything more on that? Okay, so we're going to, as I understand, we're going to talk about meeting with Live Green and gathering some information that we can then recommend to the Board of Selectmen. Is that correct?
Yes, over time. I mean, that's not for the next. I'm not going to make any recommendations before we talk to Ed.
Yeah. So
I think I will reach out to Daphne now to see what she would recommend in terms of information to provide to our task force that's available.
Sounds good. Great. Thank you, Kathy. So next item, legislative updates. I'm not going to take a lot of time here. Just wanted to mention that one of the items that we have been interested in, which is EPR for certain gas cylinders. It is moving along. So it's the 3rd year in a row, but it looks like it might possibly pass. There is strong bipartisan support for this particular bill, so that may happen. Lots of other things going on there. And moving on to Sustainable CT, our application, just wondering, how it's looking, Kathy, for our equity issue and whether there is, if we have anything there that we think might fulfill that action item.
The answer is I do not, in anything that I'm looking at, have an equity component. I don't know if any of you that are working on action steps see a place to do what they would call, you know, to integrate an equity thinking into an action that's happening. So I ask back to you folks, if anything you're working on seems to make sense, and I'm more than happy in that case to run with how we do it. I have tried to work with the equity coach. She's been very difficult. We've not connected, although the equity coach herself would come in and help us if we had some action areas, I think. The second thing that I asked about, I'd mentioned last month, was whether or not for points we could get our staff to attend equity training. And it does require an elected official, a high-level municipal person, and someone from our team. And it's a 3-part series. You must commit to the series and go to all 3 people, have to be at all 3. And the dates are set for those series. One starts actually next week, April 12th, May 10th, and June 7th, and then August 4th, 25th, and 14th. What I haven't asked and meant to, my bad, was if you were signed up for the August ones, if those would count for your points this year, if you scheduled 3 people, and whether they put that in because it's going to hit the deadline of the application.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but that would suppose that an elected official and a staff member would be interested in. I think it's about 6 hours over the course of that period of time.
This is just for extra points, though. This
That is
doesn't actually fulfill the requirement for that.
It does not fulfill the requirement for getting certification. What it does is it provides your community with an opportunity at the municipal level to understand what this whole equity action category and requirement is all about. And the people that actually run the town might go, aha, I have ideas on how in the work that we're doing, we could apply some of these principles. So the part for certification we don't have yet, and the idea that maybe we would seek extra points and get some involvement from our elected and staff officials is kind of, I think, a question that I throw back out to you, Carolyn, to Craig, to the committee, as to whether we would ask for that or not. It sounds like we're going to miss the April 12th one unless we got 3 people right away, or if August would even work. So let me find out the August date, which gets me to the fact that you all may know this. The Institute for Sustainable Energy, which Sustainable CT worked with, they have removed themselves from, so they're now solely independent. They don't work off the campus anymore, and they do have new addresses and phone numbers.
So it's not info@Sustainable CT anymore?
I actually read the letter earlier this week, and then it said new addresses and phone numbers on the program staff page. And they hired a new certification program manager, and they're not affiliated with Eastern Connecticut University anymore. They stopped working at that office, and everybody's remote, and they've added a new staff member. So it's moving ahead. They would consider this part of their growing and evolving into a bigger organization.
So this is a good thing then?
I think it's a good thing. It's just their evolution to not be part of the Eastern Connecticut Institute. They are now standalone organization. But so if you're trying to reach someone, check the program page for the staff emails. I don't know how much changed, or if everything says new addresses and phone numbers. It may be the email's the same, but their phone numbers are different. They're not there anymore. They're not in their building.
Okay.
They're fully remote.
Getting back to the equity item, last
Yeah.
time I think we had talked about the possibility of the events that the land trust is sponsoring and how possibly seniors could we could do something with seniors and did we think about that and decide not to do that, or we're continuing to look?
Let me just speak to this whole subject. The specific part you're referring to, Carolyn, I think it's pretty simple. At Home in Darien will provide rides to these things, to any of the things, and they will publicize it in their monthly newsletter if the information is fed to them. The senior center can also publicize it in their newsletter and is willing to. And the human services department's willing to put a flyer outside their office about any of these things. And last time it was the farmers market and helping seniors to access the farmers market who couldn't drive. And we did get points for equity on that. And I believe that that is refreshable, but I have to get back to it. I've been sort of focused on the homelessness thing, and I need to get back to that. I think this is not a difficult thing to accomplish.
Okay.
And secondly, with respect to the equity training, I did it last time, and it was an hour and a half of driving for every session, plus the session itself. I believe you said this can be done remotely now, Kathy, and that saves a ton of time. I do believe that my attendance did not qualify because I'm not a town employee, and you need a town employee. I don't know which town employee might be willing or able to do this. I would not be hugely surprised if there were somebody associated with the schools who might want to do this or could do this. But I don't know people in that department at all. In fact, I hardly know people in town hall for that matter. But it's a decent program. I mean, I feel it's a little on the basic side, to tell you the truth. I didn't learn a ton that I hadn't already been exposed to.
Okay. So, do you know, Kathy, if it has to be, if it could be someone in the school system, or if it has?
It can be Board of Ed, that much I know, and I'm trying to find right now what I read earlier this week. Like I said, I've given you the I've given you the dates. I can follow up in writing. And Cliff, you've got the contact with At Home in Darien. I had spoken to someone through the Land Trust who thought they could be, or was it the Land Trust after the last Green Team meeting?
Yeah, it was the land trust that was having the program.
Right. Open, it's not required. Elected officials, one higher level, one resident serving on your team to attend a 3-part series offered by Sustainable CT. And I'm trying to see if it says it's virtual or not. I'm not finding it as we sit here. I think it might be.
Kathy, the training, the equity training, it has to be an employee. Cliff said he did not qualify because he was not an employee. You said it was 3 people who have to attend all 3 sessions.
I'm reading it directly. Sends a small delegation of municipal representatives, 1 elected official, 1 higher level municipal staff member, management or manager, and 1 resident serving on your sustainability team to attend a 3-part equity training series offered by Sustainable CT. It could be other, if you have another equity training program that you support in your community, you could swap that out. But it's free, and when I got to the schedule, and now I'm not finding on the schedule, I'm sorry, Carolyn, the actual whether or not it can be virtual or not. That's the one thing. The date is the dates are April 12th, May 10th, and June 7th. That's a 3-part series, and that's happening That's starting next week. And then the next one is August 4, August 25, and September 14th.
Okay, so if it's virtual, then I guess there's the possibility that we could we could try to identify and ask someone to do it. If it's an hour and a half drive, as Cliff suggested he had to do a few years ago, that might be more difficult.
Right.
So, okay. Anything else on that? Other sustainable CT action items. Craig, do you want to talk about any of yours? I know that we only have one that's one that Cliff has indicated is 12.1 is indicated as completed, and that's the only one that's completed so far.
I did actually complete one. Maybe I didn't click it on to complete.
You didn't click the
There's one
button.
that's complete. Yeah, I will.
Okay,
I
so
have
you have
nothing-
one that is complete, then that's good.
and there will be another one as soon as I have some time. I got some data that I needed to finish it, both under housing, and I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Cliff?
I can tell you that I met with Kathleen Bush, and she believes that my impression was that for 12.2, she was on board. I'd already met with Ali Ramsek. She's on board for the town to pass a resolution concerning this topic of homelessness. I drafted a pro forma resolution, and she says that the May 16th Board of Selectmen meeting will hopefully take it up.
Okay.
Great.
So you'll need us to be there with you.
Not necessarily. I mean, Kathleen was saying that maybe Ali Ramsek and I need to go, maybe.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you'll let us know if you need any of us to attend as well.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else to report of your action items?
No.
Okay.
I've
Christine,
completed 2, by the way, not just 1.
only 1 is checked as completed, 12.1.
I think it's 12.4 or something. Anyway, I'll go back and look. It should be.
Yeah, just make sure you click the complete button. So
There's-
12.4 is complete? Okay.
The folks at Sustainable CT, in my estimation, are in somewhat of a state of disarray. I sent them a message asking about what needs to be done, and they said, okay, yeah, we'll get back to you. They don't. I sent them another message about something related to a pledge that they have as a watershed pledge, I believe, and it's almost identical to Pollinator Pathway. And
Yeah.
they said, oh, yes, well, we should look into that, and nothing. So, yeah.
And Cliff, they've lost Alyssa Norwood. They've hired a new person. They lost the other person. They've physically moved out of their offices, and they have a deadline for the people that have to finish for certification this week. So I think some of the questions that may be more general are not at the top of the list at the moment. That doesn't excuse not getting a response, but my understanding of where they're at, they're finalizing the April application right now. For people,
Yeah,
for this town's getting.
I understand
I just wanted to pass that.
we need to be understanding. I get that.
Yeah,
But
no,
this
I'm
is-
not
this
saying
is-
that, just trying to explain what I'm seeing going on.
Well, yeah, and what you're saying is what you're seeing is what I'm seeing. Chad's
Yeah.
gone. All these people who were helping us are gone.
Yeah.
And I think this stuff is falling between the chairs.
Okay. But they changed to have this, this April certification deadline now. Carolyn, I did just, if I can interrupt, it is a 3-part virtual training session. And what I will try to get an answer for is, would the summer one count towards this year?
Right.
August isn't so easy either if people are on vacation. But I will send an email to the whole group now with the details of that.
Okay, no, that sounds
Just
good.
for information. And
So I have a question about when items are indicated as being completed, are they then looking at them and evaluating them? No.
No.
Okay. My recollection from 3 years ago is that we submitted a draft of our application at some point. So we're just going to be submitting our application mid-August then, and just, I mean, we've been through this before. This isn't the first time we've done this, so we know a little bit more what we're doing, but it would be nice to get some feedback from them. Maybe when we get our fellows, they'll be able to evaluate the completed action items and see if they think they are actually completed.
I think they have to get their deadline, which is now for the April submissions in, and they're bringing in their fellows. I think there are a dozen of them. They've
Okay.
hired a new person with quite an extensive background in sustainability and in sustainable CT from being with a community.
Okay.
And so my answer is, I'm sure there will be a process to have our application looked at, but I wouldn't think that's till May or June for August submission. I think we've
Okay.
still got 6, 8, 10 weeks or something before they're in the process of.
My recollection is we sent it in May last time for an August application. Okay. Anyone else? Christine, do you have, I know you've been working on yours. Do you have anything that you want to talk about, or?
I was focusing on 555, the inventory and assess historic resources. I've been talking to Marion. She's lovely. And I feel like this is a rabbit hole I could go down. There's a lot. But
Okay.
we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but I have to go to a funeral. So we're going to meet in 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll have it all wrapped up and submit it after that.
Okay.
So
And
Kathy and Caroline, I just forwarded to both of you the exchange of emails that I had relating to the farmers market and transportation to the farmers market for the equity piece. So you can look at that and think about who can do this for these other things like Selleck's Woods or whatever else it is.
Cliff, are you saying that you said that you think we can get credit for that again this time, or when Chad went through our application, did he not move that into our equity action item area?
I need to go back and refresh my memory. Vaguely in my mind, I think he said that this could be rolled over.
Because if that's the case, then we at least have like one anchor there. And I mean, I think we got credit for two equity items last time. We just need one to actually make the application fly. So that would be good. But yeah, we need to all be thinking about what we can do for that other one to get points and or to fulfill that requirement if the farmers market doesn't qualify again.
It's really low hanging fruit. It really is. It's too easy not to do it.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Out of time.
Okay, bye, Craig. Thank you. Pam, did you have anything on any items that you're working on that you would like to talk about?
Well, I'm mainly like on the list. Well, I was on the list to find those animals, the animal list, and then the social media. And then the only thing I wanted to bring up, because I know we were talking about what events can count, that they can't be paid events that we can acknowledge. So I did bring that up with Tori Falconer at the Nature Center, and she thought that we should list that the Nature Center is open for free daily for people to view, you know, the habitats that they have, the bees, all of that. And I thought that was a good idea, that if we haven't, I don't know who's on that events list, you know, as one of their action items, but that could be acknowledged, because that is a free resource for the community.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do have a hard stop. I have a meeting I have to hop into at 2 and
we're pretty much done. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure if Kathy, do you think the fact that the Nature Center is open for public viewing that's not an event per se. I don't know that that would necessarily, but it's a good thing, and we should find a way to include it somewhere in the application.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just been one of those things that I thought, there could be a way, with the animals that they have available to, that they do sort of, you can have a free tour and learn about the animals there.
It's community resource.
Something somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, my recollection is that you can always put stuff at the end that you can't fit in anywhere else, and they don't evaluate that or comment, but at least it's part of our package, so that anyone looking at our application will see that we do this. I mean, I think we've come across other things that are like that. So we just have to start, documenting them and fitting them in somewhere. So
All right. Thanks, everyone. Sorry, I got to hop onto this. I've got 1 minute to log this one in. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Anything else from anyone or anything you want on the agenda for next time? So we will, I guess we'll be meeting the dates that are on our annual calendar, but just moving it from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. So I will send a new list to the town clerk, and it'll be changed on the town website.
Yeah, it's fine. I just think we're gonna have to have a hard stop at 2 for, like school pickup and stuff. But
Yeah. Yes. Well, so any thoughts about having a special meeting before the next meeting in May, or what do you all think?
I don't need one. If we want to do group emails, that's fine. If we have questions.
Okay. So you think that's sufficient? So we'll just meet our next regularly scheduled meeting in May then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Any last thoughts on anything or any comments? Nope. No. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop the recording now. We're stopping the meeting at 2:01. Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye.